finally.
3, 2, 1. We are live.
Live.
How you doing? You all right, boys?
All good, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Feel very honoured. I feel like I'm here to provide a bit of balance, maybe. So we're going
To the force.
a bit more north-south balance. So as an honorary Forest fan, to balance up the Bournemouth views.
That's right.
today.
Well, it's still 2-1, but
Still outnumbered.
But no, we're honoured to have you on. I've known you for a number of years now, and yeah. So who are you? What do you do? And the story about.
I'm Glenn. I am a Forest fan. Been a Nottingham Forest fan for many decades. For my sins. Usually lots of downs recently, I have to say. But now we are verging on happiness as we finally got back to the Premier League after a few decades away.
No, 16 years, wasn't it? 16 years
No,
or
more
so?
than that. I think
More
it was
than that.
22, 23.
Was it?
Scary. So I've been in Sydney now for, 18, 19 years now, and I work as a teacher, believe it or not.
Okay.
All right, excellent. And there's a Nottingham Forest group in Sydney, isn't there?
There is. We've got a Nottingham Forest Down Under supporters group. We have about 200 members, and we meet up probably 3-4 times a year when there's a big game on. But you know what it's like over here. The kickoff time has to be suitable. It has to be a 9 p.m, 10 p.m, maybe midnight kickoff we can get away with. But if it's a 1 a.m, 2 a.m, in all honesty, it doesn't happen very often. The only time I'd be out for a 2 a.m. game or a 5 a.m. game these days would be a World Cup game, probably an England game in the World Cup maybe, or Euros.
Or a Nottingham Forest final?
Yeah, that could be some while off, to be honest.
So is there a Sydney group as well? There's a Sydney...
Yeah, we've got an Australia-wide supporters group and also a Sydney supporters group, both of which can be tracked down on Facebook.
All right, so we'll put a link in the description. We'll make sure that do this down there. How many of you? Sorry.
No, go for it, mate. Go for it. It's
How
all right.
many of you? How many are there in the Sydney group?
In the
roughly?
Sydney group, well, I mean, we've probably got about 200 or so members, but in terms of how many turn up to games here in Cheers Bar, we should advertise Cheers Bar, I guess, where we are. We might get 15, 20, something like that. Depends who the opposition is. If we've got a local derby against Derby back in the day, in the dark championship days, we may get more. If it's a big game against Liverpool, we may get, again, 15, 20. If it's an average game against, say, Everton, we could be down to 10, 11, 12. Again, you know what it's like over here. It depends on the kickoff time.
The time. If it's against Bournemouth, probably about 8 or 9.
Well, actually, next Saturday.
That's right.
Next Saturday. So
This is
we are
why-
actually
this is why
meeting.
we have you on to
be
tell us
honest, we
about
are
it.
actually meeting up in this same aforementioned bar for the big clash, Forest v Bournemouth opening day, midnight kickoff Sydney time. So if there are any Forest and Bournemouth fans out there listening to this, get yourself down here. We'll be meeting up about 10 p.m. next Saturday.
Now you know that Liverpool's playing at 9:30. Yes, so
Well,
getting in here is going to be a bit of a challenge. Plus, they got Newcastle and Arsenal at the 12 midnight game, so they do.
It depends on the numbers. I mean, I don't see why we can't outnumber Newcastle supporters. So if we get enough, a mixture of Forest and Bournemouth, if we get in there, demand the big screen, okay, once the Scousers are finished, you never know.
You never know. That's it. There used to be in the old Cheers Bar a big screen, wasn't there? It's the main screen used to come
there
down
was,
and stuff that.
I've been coming to Cheers. I think my first visit in here was 2001 when I came to Oz as a backpacker back in the day, and I remember watching a few games here, but downstairs. We're upstairs here, so 3-tier bar if you've never been, and that was back in the day on in the basement.
What was it actually just downstairs?
Yeah, well, back in the day, I'm going back to 2001. I don't think there was much happening up here. You had the main bar as is now down there. But down in the basement was a larger sports bar where we had football quizzes back in the day.
Okay.
Big screen for all the big games. And I've been down in the basement quite a few times back then in 2001. But they've refurbished and redeveloped the bar a few times since then.
Yeah. Well, I think I've only been down there once, and that was the Bournemouth game. I can't even remember what game it was.
Yeah.
It was like 6 a.m. kick-off.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, right, can we talk about shirts?
Right. I can't
Absolutely.
hear you, Matt. Can you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You probably need to talk more into the mic.
1, 2, 1, 2. This,
Yeah.
see, it's a technical lad who's actually everyone. He's not
doing-
being very
he's doing-
technical.
Away from the camera.
Sorry, what it is, I'm going to zoom in for this camera here, but what happens is that if I'm too close, you see this egg head come forward. Anywho, Glenn,
Absolutely.
your top mate, talk
yeah.
about it. What year? What's
Okay,
going on?
This top is 2 years old. Comes from our first season back in the Premier League. It's okay. It's a little bit too bland for me. The problem we have as Forest supporters, unlike, say, Bournemouth, we've got a plain red T-shirt, and the argument goes that you can't do too much with a plain shirt. Maybe a few pinstripes, maybe a few shades. At least with a stripy shirt, I guess you can do a bit more. Hence the reason I haven't yet bought this season's home shirt, which for me is just yet another bog standard template design from Adidas. Whereas back in the day, this was a Macron shirt. But I think too many fans complained about the poor sizing. I mean, I'm an average kind of guy in terms of my build. I'm usually a large T-shirt size. This is a 2XL. Can you believe?
What?
This is a 2XL. That's just how the Macron sizing works. Absolutely crazy.
I'm amazed. I mean,
This is a 2XL, and I think especially fans like myself based overseas, not always able to get back to Nottingham for obvious reasons, you rely on ordering things online. So you order a large as per normal, it arrives, and you look an
doesn't fit.
absolute fool. It doesn't fit, it's too tight. Unless
this is why you need a size chart on the thing, so you can.
2XL.
And I'm
Come
not
on.
a 2XL kind of a guy.
So how does that feel to you? It mustn't give you a lot of confidence, does it? I mean,
Absolutely, yeah. So, so I was just saying, pre-recording might be controversial to a lot of fans, but this season I haven't yet bothered ordering the home shirt, but the away shirt priced up on the official Forest website, something like £65-70. I can't remember the exact price. And I thought, to be honest, I mean, I could probably afford that, but on principle, I consider that to be an absolute rip-off, total rip-off, absolute joke. So, controversially, I decided for the first time, I have to say this is the first time, I decided to go through the famous or infamous DH gate in China to get.
we don't. We don't endorse it. Just like the streaming thing.
Yeah,
We do not
Yeah.
endorse
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
We do.
Yeah. Controversial. So anyway, I downloaded the app of a certain establishment in China, and to order myself a shirt and one for my daughter as well came in at $50 Australian all up. So say 25 quid, and that's for 2 shirts. So I know a lot of fans say, "Oh no, don't do that. Put your money into your club," which I do understand. Of course, I absolutely understand. But you know, I've just got a limit, a threshold. I know when I'm getting robbed blind, and I don't know whether it's Adidas doing that or Forest doing that. Maybe a mixture of both. And for me, 65-70 quid for a shirt these days is an absolute joke. So I thought I'll just try to see what the quality is like on the the fake. Coming in, which could, who knows, be made in the same factory or the next door factory. Who knows?
Well, we know.
Who knows?
Look, we've
It hasn't arrived yet, so I can't exactly show you the quality, but when it arrives.
Well, look, I've got a big problem with kits in general. Do you know what I mean? With the price of everything. We'll touch on that in a second, but you probably find like electronics, they're all made in the same factory. They're just pushed out. It's like Sony. I'm a camera tech guy, that sort of thing. It's near enough made in the same factories, but
Maybe they leave from a different exit though. different door in the same factory.
door.
That sounds like my uncle when he used to work in Liverpool docks, mate. That certain things delete at certain exits. You know?
Stories for that.
I don't want to be cynical, but I think that could be the case.
Yeah. Nick,
Yes.
your kit.
My kit. Well, this is the 2014-15 kit when they got promoted. Let me get the year right. 2015. So yeah, 15-16. This is the JD kit, and it's quite nice quality. I quite like it. So yeah, it's got the old Premier League patches there.
I love the old I like Premier League badges. For some reason, I think it looks more authentic.
If I can add into that, talking of badges, I mean, mine must be a more modern version of Nick's badge, but talking of badges and the rip-off prices, if I wanted to order the current Forest shirt from the official club website, it's an extra £6. Can you believe? £6 more to get the Premier League badge stuck on.
Is it principle though?
Just on principle, it's an absolute joke. £6 just to have a Premier League badge, and you're already paying.
And these days it's just one, isn't it? Because normally they have the shirt sleeve sponsor on the other one.
Yeah.
In the old days, you get two badges. Now you only get one.
Yeah.
Plus, then if you want it personalised, that's another 12
add on,
or something quid.
add on however many.
So you are literally paying about 90 quid, roughly, for a personalised shirt.
Then if you're trying to buy for your family, for your kids as well, the price goes through the roof, and they obviously don't care that there appears to be a cost of living crisis on these days. Interest rates going through the roof, it all troubled us, mortgage repayments. So, push comes to shove, hence my choice this year to just try the quality from another supplier.
Yeah. Now, Luton. Tell us about Luton. What are Luton doing about this?
Okay. So I read this in the week. Oh, nearly. Everything nearly went belly up then. Right, so I read in the week that Luton Town have decided not to have a new kit or a new sponsor, just for the fact for their fans, because they know what you said, Glenn, cost of living.
Superb. All credit to Luton. Round of applause. The kit they had was quite a nice one anyway, to be honest.
Yeah.
How about let's not rip the fans off? Fair play to Luton.
And then, talking about ripping fans off.
Oh, you can talk about that. I'm not talking about that.
You told, no, he didn't. I did. I brought this one up. So Bournemouth have got 6 kits this season so far. 6. And how much did we spoke about this on the phone. How much did we calculate?
Okay, I added up the cost for all 6 shirts without fancy badges and numbers and names on the back. 490 quid.
What, pounds?
Pounds. Yeah. So
these are training tops as well, right? These are home, away, third shirt.
Yeah. These are Michael B. Jordan home and Michael B. Jordan away. The special design shirts was £85.
Yeah.
You've got the special anniversary kit, which is going to be used for the Newcastle home game, the first home game of the season. That's £125, but it comes with a box. So, you're paying for the box. And then you've got I think they're £65 each for the home, away, and the third kit. So yeah, I view it, and I know how the psychology works, especially kids, spoiled brats maybe.
But they put the pressure on, don't they?
They put pressure on the parents.
My friends got it.
Yeah, why can't I have it? What kind of mum or dad are you? The other thing is that the club probably thinks, look, we're just putting it out there.
Admittedly, yeah, you
choose what you want.
It is. Look, having a kit selection is nice because we're not saying that you've got to go around and buy all 6. We're not. I just think if you're I might be just starting trouble, talking absolute nonsense. But when you've got 6 kids, you wait. When they go down in price, I'll buy all 6. No, but no. I just think it's a lot because years ago it was a home, away, and then you might get a third kit. Having 6, maybe, okay, look, maybe, again, you don't have to buy the kits. You don't have to.
But it's the pressure, isn't it, Glenn? I think it's...
People have started doing over the last few years is waiting till the January sales when you get 25% off, let's say, then buying that particular season's shirt at a more reasonable price, even though it's only, you know, the shirt itself is only live for maybe 4 months, let's say. But I have so many friends here who do that.
I've never done that, Nick, have I?
Never, ever in your life.
Never.
I can't say I have, but a lot of people do that.
I'd like
You
to
get
point
given them for free.
Actually, no, I do.
It does.
It was Hensman. It was Ian Hensman. We're watching a game downstairs, so it's his fault, not my fault, right? So he was watching a game, and he just pulls out his phone and he goes, "They're just now knocked down the price of the shirts." So myself and the other half were watching the game, and I just went, "Whoa, 2 shirts."
I'll fill my boots. Yeah.
So
Fill your boots.
So,
Why not?
so it was his fault. And then literally since knowing that, that's what I always aim for, just because of the price of the shirts. And then I'm going to look into the camera to say thanks, Ma Justice, right? This was a purchase for her. She goes into the Bournemouth shop, right? Has a chat with the fella behind the counter. And I've been sent over 3 shirts so far.
Well, lucky man.
No, it's 4. I think it's 4 now. So yes, yeah.
I think she needs to order the next size up.
Design. I think we can say that. When I look at that shirt from a distance, it doesn't say Bournemouth to me.
It says "Stay clear." Go over the other side of the pavement and walk past.
Hazardous material. Yeah, but I said this earlier to both of you, didn't I? It's like I have this. It must be. I've had laser eye surgery, so I think that's what it is. Is that I look at stuff like this and I think, is that hideous? That is really good, and I don't know why.
It's unique. It stands out from the crowd. We could say that maybe.
There you
Yes.
go. That's really well put.
No, that's great. That's a very polite way of saying it. That's actually really good. So, right. So keeping on the theme of kits.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, again, I was looking online, as I do, because that's the way you get your information from. And there was a league table of kits of 1 to 20, how many teams are in the Premier League, of how good the kits are. Number 1.
Who's voting on this, by the way?
This
Who
was
says?
the Deaf and
Who
Blind
says?
Society.
Right, okay.
No, it was game. Actually, I
Deaf and Blind.
took this down. It was
That's funny.
game. Actually, I'll tell you what. We'll put a link up. It was a random thing on Facebook, but I think it was GameSport or GameSpot.
Have you ever heard of that? I've never heard.
Yeah, never heard.
I've got to consult the phone. I'm not even going to bother. So, number 1. What look at this was Palace.
I agree. Fair play. I thought the Palace kit was really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
You brought this up for Palace for me.
I brought this up because I put out a post, hashtag CPFC, Crystal Palace Football Club, and I wanted to ask some fans, and let me just scroll here. We'll probably have it on the screen anyway.
Well, while you talk,
Actually, no, we want to know your thoughts on the new Crystal Palace Football Club home kit. And of course, I put, put a thing there. I personally think was absolutely outstanding. Absolutely. It's like, you go into it and you zoom in and it's just really...
So their away kit was even better, actually. If you can remember, their away kit was a bit of a diagonal stripe. I love a diagonal stripe on a football shirt.
Scribble, both colours.
Yeah. Remember the old famous Peru shirt with the diagonal?
Yes.
I love a diagonal stripe. But I don't think Forest are ever going to get one. But a club like Palace can maybe get away with it.
Hey.
But could.
Bournemouth did in the Championship. They had a white and a blue sash. At one of their seasons, I remember that. But
actually, can I say something about the Peruvian team? I was in an airport in Peru somewhere, and all of the national team came through, and of course they're mobbing these. Me and the ex, we were like, no idea who these are, and then spoken broken Spanish. Who's this lot? And they're like, that's the David Beckham of Peru. And I'm like, whoa, like that. Got a picture with him. Didn't know who he was.
We do deviate a bit on the travel thing, don't we? Because we like to bring travel and football because they are interconnected, aren't they?
So they're probably 2 of my main interests, really. If we go football and travel, you can't really beat managing to combine both of those two.
Yeah.
I mean, I just went over to Germany for the Euros.
I was going to ask you.
Oh,
to listen in a minute, but yeah.
Sorry, I'll let you.
No,
with Alice.
That's my fault.
Tell me how that went.
Well, Germany was fantastic. I mean, I'm struggling at the moment still, hands up, in early August, still trying to get onto into my Premier League brain. I'm still on international mode. I'm just about getting over the Euros. Went over to Germany, absolutely loved it, had a blinding time. I only got tickets for one game, which was the fascinating, exhilarating 0-0 draw between England and Slovenia. But as I have this discussion with friends quite often these days, when it comes to football, usually the football itself is a letdown. The actual camaraderie, the banter, the joking, meeting and mixing with friends and opposition fans, that's usually the best part of the trip. The actual football itself is so often the letdown. But it was a great experience, yeah. Talking of stupid prices, do you want to have a guess how much I had to pay?
This puts our shirts in pale.
Yeah, this was an official ticket considered premium category. Bearing in mind, this is not the final. This was just a group stage. England, Slovenia.
Okay, let's
category 1, category 2, category 3 had all gone. Right. So the only category left was premium. So in euros, what do you think the price was?
Well, I'll let you go first.
250.
I would say 500.
Yeah, sort of in between those two, really.
Oh, really?
400 euros.
Wow.
400 euros, and I bought
£2. Maybe about £500.
Can't remember the conversion rate.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, for that price, I thought I'd get lobster delivered to my seat, maybe a foot massage, I was thinking, and maybe I imagined myself just sat immediately behind Gareth Southgate's dugout. For that price, no, it was just a bog standard, near the halfway line, upper tier, good view and everything, but come on, 400 euros.
400.
So yeah, wasn't best pleased. But you put it down to experience. You have to do these things.
Which city did you go to?
Well, in English, Cologne. My German's not too hot, but I believe it's pronounced Köln. Köln, yeah.
They have, that's a great.
Which was, it's good, especially down there by the riverside. So sometimes you get ripped off. Sometimes you pay through the nose. Prior to that, the most expensive ticket I'd ever bought was in Ukraine. 2012, the Euros over there. Flew over there from Sydney. That was 220 euros for a ticket. England versus Sweden in Kyiv.
Was that 0-0 as well?
Sorry?
Was that 0-0 as well?
No, fortunately, that was a good game.
Oh, okay. You got
a 3-2 win. But I wasn't best pleased about paying 220 euros for that, to be honest. But I guess that's inflation, right?
Yeah.
400 euros now. But that's football. Some you win, some you lose. Some games are exciting, some aren't.
So if you'd swapped your Slovenia for Slovakia, that would have been a better game, wouldn't it? Oh, it would have been
to be fair, the Slovakia game was dreadful as well. Apart from it had a good ending. At least there was a good ending with a very late goal and then an extra time winner. But the game itself was dreadful.
Yeah, there's a few England fan leavings for that one. I remember mentioning it in the first episode. Like there was just people leaving the stadium before the final, and then they wished they hadn't.
The football itself was dreadful, really, from England. I mean, they were okay against Switzerland, but that was a game they should have won. They were much better against the Netherlands. I thought that was the only game they played reasonably. No complaints losing to Spain. I know you're half Spanish, Nick, so you'd have a foot in both camps. Spain were their best team, but from an England supporter's point of view, I thought we might have done it, especially when Cole Palmer got the equaliser with, what was it, about 10 minutes to go? Even though, because it's not always the case that the best team wins the tournament. Not always.
You have a lucky element into it.
Yeah, I thought we could have just gone on there, but, just not enough impetus to go forwards and get the winner.
This is 2 finals in a row for England. I know we weren't talking about England and stuff like that, but I think... Do you see a progression, maybe? The fact that we've reached 2 finals in a row?
Well, it's just that. It's 2 finals in a row. I don't like the style of football. I'm holding my hands up.
Yeah.
But I would much rather play what I think is a dull, slow, second gear type style of football and be relatively successful than be entertaining, attacking and losing the quarter-final on a penalty shootout. So I'd rather stink the tournament out but win it. Okay, we didn't quite manage that. But at the end of the day, in my lifetime, Gareth Southgate is factually our most successful coach.
Yeah.
Two finals. You know, you can't really argue. Well, we've been, as England fans, been crying out for a level of success for decades. Two finals, I guess, is success. But will we ever manage to get over the line? Yeah. I think when it comes to England, just being honest, I think most England fans would accept this. We are not at the same level as what I call the top four. Spain, France, Italy, Germany.
Why not?
Those countries, well,
we've got the players.
Well, yeah. Spain, France, Italy, Germany regularly prove it that they are top tier, top level by occasionally winning a trophy. We, as England fans, I think we are more at the level of Netherlands, Portugal, even Denmark, somebody like that, where, you know, we're capable of getting to a final. We have won a trophy in the past. We're always difficult to beat. I'd say we're more at the Netherlands, Portugal, maybe even Denmark level. We can't claim to be on a par with Spain, France, Italy, Germany till we get over that line.
But Portugal, Netherlands, Denmark, and even Greece have actually won the Euros.
Yeah, well, that's
Netherlands in '88, but I mean
they've won as we have a long time ago. Yeah. They're all countries that have actually won a tournament and still look capable of getting to finals, as the Dutch have, the Portuguese have. Or be very, very competitive, like the Danes made the semi-finals in the last Euros. So I think we're on a par with, especially, say, Portugal, Netherlands, that level. Yeah. But we cannot. I think it's just
mental blockage.
It's all up here. It's all in the mind.
Yeah, but now with the new players, I can't say. I'm sorry. With everything, all the money that can get thrown at them, they've got, you know, mentalist coaches. I couldn't even say that. Easy for me to say. Mentalist coaches, you know, they've got everything there for them.
We've got good players. It's just that too often they seem to play as individuals. They don't seem to be a well-structured team unit. We do obviously have good players, but as a team, they so rarely gel. I mean, I've been going to England games for decades. My first England game, 1989, against Poland at Wembley. Nice 3-0 win. Neil Webb, John Barnes, Gary Lineker.
Leauge just felt sense of security.
Yeah. So I've been watching it for a long time. I just, hand on heart, being honest, England only really seem to gel and play really, really well once or twice a year. Honestly, the rest of the time...
Full moon? Must be a full
once or twice a year. The rest of the time, it's bang average or slow or dull. And they usually do get the job done in qualifying, usually. But they only really hit it playing at their very, very peak once or twice a year.
I was going to offer them the excuse of, look, you know, they only get together a week before the game, but then every national team does the same thing.
It's the same. It's the same with Spain, France, Germany. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah. Some people use the excuse of players being tired from playing in the Premier League, which is valid. But then again, so many of the Spanish team, Italian team, French team over the years.
No, I disagree with that. Yep. Reason being because half of them are always on the bloody deck. I swore then. That's how they're always on the deck. We'll cut that one out. I know. They're always on the deck rolling around. But then saying that's been brought into the Premier League now. Oh, shows me age and my racism. Right. No, but yeah, they say, don't they? But you can have excuse after excuse after excuse, and I've got a problem with, yet again, it's a money thing. It must be a gypsy thing in me, right? That literally, I think they're the top of their game. They need to pull their finger out.
Do you think it's the pride in the shirt? I mean, they all say they're proud to represent the country.
Not now.
I think it's a bit of both. I think there's underperformance. The players don't quite hit their top form, but some of it is the coaching, the tactical side, the team structure. It's not fair to just blame Southgate because the players have to take responsibility and show more, show more football intelligence, depending on how the game's going. But it's still success. 2 finals in a row. Maybe one day before I die, eventually, maybe I may have a Zimmer frame by then. Maybe we might eventually win a trophy. Who knows? Dare I raise the fact that a couple of years ago the women's team managed to get over the line?
They
won the Euros. The women's team managed to do it. So fair play to them. Who knows? One day.
Yeah, well, I do know that I'm being too hard on them, but they're professional players. They earn a lot of money, and there's a lot of fans out there wanting this. Maybe
I always go back to the Greece 2004 squad. They were pretty much, say that in the greatest respect, they were a bunch of nobodies, but they were together as a team. They were like rock solid. That German coach, I still don't know.
Otto Rehhagel.
Otto, yeah.
They called him King Otto in Greece.
Otto.
They didn't have many household names, did they? But I remember Haristeas, the striker. But they were really, really good unit as a team. And they were so well drilled and well organised. They knew what their job was on the field. And they just got through with winning 1-0. 1-0 and another 1-0. And fair play to them.
Yeah.
So Greece can do it. The Danes did it back in the day.
Nice
so
when they
England
got pulled up from their holidays. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yugoslavia was
exactly.
picked out.
Yeah.
And the players were on holiday.
Yeah. Came
okay.
back and then just won the tournament.
2-0 against Germany, I remember that.
Yeah, great game.
That was a great game.
I think the whole of Europe was behind Denmark, apart from Germany. Yeah. Fair play to them. So it can happen. It will happen one day. You've got to be positive.
Yeah.
I guess. So anyway, I'll try and switch back on, I promise, to the upcoming Premier League. I'm just kind of in my mind, I'm just going to leave international football behind and trying to get
on the
now for the Premier League.
International football. I think Matt's got, I'll make the announcement on behalf of Matt. This is the last podcast that we're ever doing because Matt has taken up the temporary England job.
It's a bit of I can see that.
You can see that.
There's a bit of similarity there. I'll be complimentary to Matt, though, and say I think Matt looks a slightly slimmer version of Lee Carsley. Yeah, I'd say, yeah.
Do you know what? I'd do a better job. I'd be like, look at you. You nearly fell off your seat backwards then.
I didn't want to cough into the mic, did I?
I'll tell you what, I'd probably be like,
you've got to give him a chance. To be fair, the Spanish, as I'm sure Nick will confirm, the Spanish gave the job to their under-21 coach, who was coaching the Spanish under-21s, won a few things, takes on the Spanish senior team. There you go, winning the tournament. So you never know. You never know. We've had big names before as England managers, and they've failed.
Yeah,
so who knows? What was the name of the Spanish coach? I've forgotten. What was the name of the Spanish coach in the Euros? I've forgotten his name. Anyway,
you put me on the spot there. I used to know not Rubiales. That was the Federation guy that got kicked out because of the controversial World Cup final kiss. Yeah. So it's definitely not him. De La Fuente.
That's the one.
That's it.
So maybe Lee Carsley could do the same job. Who knows? I can't see it. A lot of people are saying he's got the job temporarily just to get through the Nations League qualifiers, and then maybe at the end of the season when Pep's contract expires, some people are talking about that. I'm not sure if he'd want the job, though.
Jurgen as well was mentioned.
Yeah, but once you've been in club football for a while, I mean, it's a total different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Pension, a good pension. It's the retirement
pensions before. You talk about our other guest from California. He says he's the Marines. Yeah. And the first thing he says is pension.
That's the English in me. It's like, you get a good pension. Over here, you get nothing like that. That's the first thing I think of. It's like,
oh man. Hi Scott from Sacramento.
It's a totally different ball game, isn't it? Because the international coaches don't get their players for weeks and months on end. Surely it's all about, I don't know if motivation's the right word, but team spirit, man management, and just getting the tactics and the team structure right. It was different in club football. Of course, you've got them for months on end.
There was, I think it was in the 70s when England was doing quite poorly. I don't think England qualified for the 78 World Cup in Argentina. And there was talk, and I wasn't even planning on saying this, but there was talk of trying to get as many English-born Liverpool players to play for the national team, because Liverpool, on the other hand, was a massive, great success. 77, 78, 79, the Champions League, or the European Cup, as it was called back then. And this is the bit where we need to talk closer into the microphone. And there was a limit. There was a limit of only 7 players. You could only do that. You could only have 7 players from the same club in the national team in the 1970s, which I think is quite a lot anyway.
To be honest, though, that Liverpool team and even Forest were very good in that era. A lot of the players that made up that Liverpool team were Scottish. You had quite a few Scottish players at the time as well, like, say, Graham Souness.
I bumped
Kenny
into him.
Dalglish.
Bumped into him. Literally bumped into him in Sam Banks Tesco's. I had a Barney at work with someone, and I'm going over it in my head. And as I'm walking past, as I just go through the door, this tall lad comes out and he said, "Oh, sorry." And I said, "No, I'm really sorry, mate." And I walked in there. I went,
"Who's this guy?"
"It's Graham Souness." Like that. Yeah. So, where were we?
Hard man, hard player, hard man.
He looks solid. Even. How old is he now? That was 5-6 years ago.
You wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of a Graham Souness tackle.
No, because he was a tough.
It's worth searching on YouTube to see some of Graham Souness's worst fouls, tackles. Ouch.
Yes. Anyway, I'm going to go back to Crystal Palace.
Go for it.
So I put a.
That was a bit of a detour, wasn't it?
Is it? But we love travel. We love football.
Yes.
So and it flows. So I mean, love it. Crystal Palace. I was actually quite surprised. Some of the fans. We've got the official supporters group for Tampa in Florida said that the more up close you get, the worse it is, in my opinion. I was pretty disappointed when I officially unveiled mine. Shorts are really rough too. What's the shorts got to do with the shirt? Anyway, but on the pitch, it looks fine. It could become one of those classic, so bad it's good, cult classic shirts in the future.
Okay.
But don't you think a football shirt should be designed with the fan in mind? It needs to look good with a pair of jeans. In the pub.
Yes.
Or with a pair of shorts in the summertime.
Yeah.
But too many of these designs are just bland. Recent Forest designs.
They probably highlight the jeans rather than the top bit. You know what I mean? I've got Alex Urquhart from Minnesota. He says simplicity goes a long way for me, and the overall run of Macron this time just as disappointing after a lot of bangers last time round. So I was expecting more ravers than. The opposite. So
this is a Macron design. This particular one, this 2 years old Forest shirt, but they just proved not especially popular with the Forest support, mainly because of the sizing, I have to say, and some very bizarre.
Is that a Macron thing though?
Apparently, I was talking to a guy in the club shop back in Nottingham maybe 2 years ago. He was saying that the Macron shirts were all made somewhere in Asia, I can't remember where, and they went with Asian style sizing. Hence why I am apparently a 2XL, even though I'm clearly not.
Okay, well, I
hope anyway, I'll just breathe in a bit.
You know why they have in a Chinese restaurant, they have Chinese waiters, don't you?
Chinese what?
Chinese waiters in a Chinese restaurant, don't you?
Is this a joke?
I'll soon see if you laugh. Small hands make the plates look bigger.
Small hands.
Oh dear.
That's what I have to do.
No, it wasn't a joke.
I have to joke. Half times I don't get it.
I have to do the small hands joke when I'm drinking a schooner in Australia. Because mates at home give me grief for, if I'm drinking a schooner as opposed to a pint, so I have to pretend I've got big hands wrapped around a tiny schooner. But anyway. Moving on.
A pint in Adelaide is 420 mils as opposed to a 650 whatever mils it is in New South Wales. So there you go. In South Australia, you get less for your bag, less for your buck. So
unreal.
Anyway, are we still on the topic of kits? Because you were mentioning, I think in a few decades ago, I do remember Manchester United in the one season, and I think it was the first club in the Premier League to do so. They released their typical red kit, with the laces that had.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
They had the blue and white kind of mingled in.
Yeah,
they had the famous grey one, which they lost. They lost 6-3 to Southampton.
Oh yeah.
I was listening to BBC Radio Solent that weekend, and BBC Radio Solent in Dorset covers Southampton, Portsmouth, and Bournemouth. And then they always have this music, like a big crowd, celebrating the goal. But they don't tell you who scored. They say, and we go live to Fratton Park, and we go to the Dell, which was called back then. And then and there was 6-3. Matt and Letitia, I think, may have grabbed the brace and stuff. Anyway, that was the grey shirt, which then they ditched the grey shirt
at half time.
Yeah.
That was obviously the reason
You
why.
are
Yeah,
kidding me.
that was obviously the reason they were getting battered. Quite funny. All down to Ferguson, I think. I think it was Ferguson's call to do that. The players were allegedly complaining in that game at the Dell. They couldn't see each other very well. So they said that was the story anyway. So they swapped the shirts at half time.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I knew they ditched them in the end, but I didn't know it was half time. Wow.
Yeah, but then saying that, Liverpool had a grey shirt for God knows how long, and they never complained back in the day.
Well, they had better outside, didn't they?
Well,
Let's
that
go on
Man
to
United
contact
team,
lens.
to be fair, that Man United team did have a lot of whingers, let's be honest. Roy Keane, Gary Neville, Ferguson, quite a few whingers.
Did you have you been online or see the game where Peter Schmeichel played, I can't remember what team it was, and of course he's shaking hands with everyone. That's when, is it Barthez was in goal back then? So he shook hands with Barthez.
The short-sleeve goalkeeper. I
Yeah.
remember that, yeah.
Shook hands with someone else, and then he went to shake hands with Gary Neville. So he tapped him on the shoulder. Gary Neville turned around, went like that, and went, "What?" Just because he played for the other team. It's online.
Gary Neville. I thought he was
Yeah.
at Man U all the time. Wasn't
Yeah, well, yeah, no, Gary Neville was playing for Man U, but Schmeichel wasn't. Schmeichel was playing for the other team. Peter Schmeichel, yeah.
Oh, that's right, because didn't he get transferred to Man City, Schmeichel?
Don't
Did he
know.
play for Man City at
Can't
one
remember.
stage?
Towards
Or have
the
I
end
got
of his career.
towards the end of his career? Yeah. Have I got that wrong?
Okay, I knew he didn't
I'll
end
look it
up
up
in
later.
Man United, but
I've got a feeling he played for Man City. Yeah, at the very tail end of his career.
yeah. Comments in the description, or just
Yes.
yeah. There you go.
Unless it was an England-Denmark game.
No, it was definitely a Man U because, but it was Barthez.
No, it
wasn't
says at Man U. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got another thing to say about Chelsea. I have found the perfect sponsor for Chelsea's
Go
new
on.
kit.
Go on.
It's got to be Exxon. Because their blue kit looks like an oil spill. So, yeah,
Or BP.
BP. I think the famous one was Exxon, but yeah, BP is more recent. But, yeah, I just
That's
looked at
a
that and thinking,
horrible
oh,
kit.
That's a while back.
Can I go back to talking of oil spills and Chelsea's kit then?
go on then.
So the top 20 ranking that we were saying earlier,
Oh, yeah.
right? Number 1 is, on my notes down here, is Palace. Number 2 is Ipswich. 3 is the Mighty Gunners.
When's this survey from? If Ipswich are in it? Is it for this coming season?
This season.
Oh,
this season. Sorry, I should have said
Ipswich,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen theirs. Yes.
I suppose I've seen.
I think Ipswich are one of those clubs that nobody minds Ipswich at all, apart from Norwich fans. Everybody's got a soft spot for Ipswich. Nice club, nice fans.
Villa's mine. Aston
Villa, yeah, you don't mind Villa? Okay.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Right. So,
And which one's the bottom one?
okay, hold on. Wait there.
Jump in.
So I've got because City's 4, Man City's 4th. The Mighty Red and Black, Bournemouth, they're 5th.
Okay.
Okay, so and then that brings me to number 17th.
Okay. Is that my boys, is it?
Yeah,
Or
it is.
It's just too bland and plain, so I've no disagreement with that. Just sparkle it up, different shades of red on it, maybe a few pinstripes. Just give us something, even a diagonal sash, as mentioned earlier. Maybe a white stripe going, from shoulder to waist. Just something
Or just
different.
a tree.
Come on.
Just a tree and then sprouting over it. Like the Bournemouth top with the pier
Oh,
2 seasons ago that I managed to get online at the Bournemouth shop for half price. Anyway, guess who is at
Bottom.
20?
Worst kit, okay. Worst kit this season.
I'm going to give you a clue.
Go on.
Chelsea. That leads us on to what Nick was saying about sponsored by Exxon.
Exxon. Yeah.
I haven't seen their new shirt, to be honest.
I don't think they have as well. I don't think the people that designed it saw it.
Saw Conor Gallagher's new shirt after the transfer to Atletico Madrid, and that's a nice shirt.
Yeah.
Atletico Madrid shirt. That's a beautiful shirt. Anyway, that's a little aside. But the Chelsea shirt, I'm guessing it's blue. But I don't know what else is on it.
Some blobs.
Some blobs. Okay, look forward to checking that one out.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Saw that. So I just going back to shirts. My memories of Nottingham Forest shirts are always the ones with the Shipstone
Yeah.
and Labatt's. Was Labatt's also?
Yeah. Usually some really bad lagers. Usually,
Yeah.
we've had
Clough
Labatt's.
Yeah,
Skull, I've got
probably got involved with that.
Yeah, Labatt's. I used to like the Labatt's shirt back
That's
in the day,
Canadian, isn't it?
early to mid '90s, Canadian.
Yeah.
I bought a retro shirt recently, last year maybe, with Skull across the chest from the mid '80s. Because as a kid, I just loved that shirt. I don't know if you boys remember our team in that era with the likes of Johnny Met Hod, the Dutch guy, bald head.
Me.
Peter Davenport, Stuart Pearce had just arrived at the club. Nigel Clough, and Skull, a really bad, something like 3.5% lager. And I bought that retro shirt last year because it just reminded me of my school days, I think. But yeah,
I
we've
remember
had
seeing the advert of Skull
Yeah,
on
yeah,
TV in the
yeah.
early 80s before I met
Skull. That's another one to look up.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No. So, we were watching the Bournemouth versus Wrexham game in the States live, and towards the end of the first half, there was a commentator that said because Dom Solanke wasn't playing the first half, and the commentator said, "Is this what life looks like without Dom Solanke?" And me and Matt commented in the following episode, says, "What's going on? Why would he say that? Is there more to it than just a one-off comment?" And then we sort of kind of left it alone a bit.
No, he had a crystal ball.
We had a crystal ball, didn't
He
he?
might have looked into it and just saw something cloudy.
Some
Don
cloudy
Bates. Yeah.
White's Stadium in North London. So he's pretty much gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personal terms. Look,
How are you feeling about it then, you two? How do you feel?
Good riddance.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't the best player for us.
Look, I rated him.
He was brilliant. No, he was
I
brilliant.
rated
He
him.
was absolutely brilliant. It's a
He'll be hard to replace. He'll be hard to replace. But when he first came, it took ages to get going. He scored his first 2 goals towards the end of the 2020 season when we got relegated. Scored 2 against Leicester.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm thinking, finally he scored.
I think it was extremely good last season.
Oh,
sadly, he got a few against Forest. Sadly, he's the kind of striker. Yeah, he's the kind of striker I was hoping we would sign. He's probably a little bit out of our price range, but we need somebody like that. So if I was a Bournemouth fan, I'd be upset.
He's on fire. He's exciting to watch.
Well, look, I'm gutted, but I mean, I think the sign of a healthy club is just letting players pursue their dream and stuff like that, because then players will want to come to your club because they know they can progress and they can. So it's a kind of.
But he already had a go at Liverpool, didn't he? Was it Liverpool? A few years ago, he was playing for Liverpool, wasn't he?
He was,
Maybe didn't quite cut it for them.
Yeah.
Hence he
And
found
we had
his
a
way
bad
to
history of signing a lot of dud players from Liverpool who were potentially, they had the talent, but they just didn't quite materialise on the pitch. Like Jordan Ibe was pretty much the main striker. I think we paid £15 million for it. And I think for Dom we paid close to 20.
What are you getting allegedly this time then? Is it around 60-ish then, is it? Around that?
Much yet.
We know the transfer prices are all crazy.
At the start,
anyway.
Yeah.
Start of the season they will be. They'll be silly.
I think we're getting 55 plus 10, but the numbers have been varying. So it depends on. But look, at the end of the day, it depends on Bill Foley, doesn't it? Uncle Bill, if he, it's business. And
Maybe he feels he needs the money because on you boys investing in a new stadium, a new larger stadium,
training ground, and eventually a stadium.
Yeah.
So I guess as I said before, we're not across everything. No fan is.
No.
But
especially over here.
Well, yeah,
we're relying on
not across everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
be a shame. No, it will be a shame because, like you said, last season he was good. He was. I thought maybe he should have got an England call up, but then not unless you're. We spoke about this last night, didn't we? Not unless you're in the top 5 teams of the Premier League that you're probably going to get a look in.
I ran a poll in our Twitter saying, if Dom Solanke had actually been called up for England, would he still be leaving for Spurs? and we had about 71 votes, and there's about, I think it was 38% said he would have stayed at Bournemouth, and the other...
That's optimistic, isn't it? That's very optimistic.
Would that have increased his ambition and maybe level of greed? I don't know if that's fair, but to jump ship with more exposure, let's say he'd gone to the Euros and done well, in his head, would that have made him more likely to want a glamorous transfer?
I would have said it would have bumped up the money significant if he'd have popped a few in the back of the net. You know, that's what normally happens. Yeah. Well, who was the Swedish lad that a good few years back that was rated highly?
For who? Swedish lad? What, for Bournemouth?
No. He was playing international. He done really well, and then they signed him over in the Premier League, and he did absolutely dreadful. I can't remember. And he ended
You're not
up
talking about Chiquilo Venti.
No,
okay.
He actually played in goal. He went back to where he came from. I think he played in goal. I cannot remember his name, but it was one of those situations where, like you've just mentioned, he played...
No, you're not talking about Niskins from that Football Manager.
I was going to say something really dark.
What was it? Wirral FC or Wirral Rubbish? Remember the...
No, I was going to say something really daft. I think he had blonde hair.
Well, not the case anymore.
But no, it's one of those cases that they done well in a tournament, and money went crazy for him, and then when he came over here, he wasn't that good. I can't remember his name. That'll be next week. Or in the comments, please, ladies and gents, down below, if that's all right, let us know, because let's face it, I'm thick as two short planks. Nick's shoulders are always a bit tired where he's carrying me all the time.
Don't be so bad.
Look, hold on, wait there. Small box of Kleenex, but no. Dom, yeah, well, it's football, isn't it? It's football.
You mentioned there was a Mexican player, but I don't think he's a striker, is he? Julian Araujo.
Defender, he is. I had to look at that. Yeah, okay, right. So, stand well back. Julian, it's Julian in English. Julian Araujo. I cannot see. I do speak a tiny amount of Spanish, oui, and literally I've never been able. When there's a J in it, it's like oranges.
You got to spit.
Yeah, oranges are naranja, and naranja, and I cannot say it, and I have to literally. So you think if I'm ordering oranges,
we do language lessons here as well. You know, like it's all valid.
When I was in the market, if I was in the market, and I'd be like, all right, I want oranges, like that, and they'd be just.
Look at you, it's a crazy English man.
Yeah. So defender. So
yeah, I from Barcelona. I think I forgot the price actually. Do you have it written down?
No.
No, there you go. Free.
Free.
Do you think you're going to spend any of that Solanke money on a striker then?
I think.
Or have you got a ready-made replacement in the squad?
We've got Jebison. He just came from Sheffield United, but you know, you've got to give it time, I suppose. And you don't want to in this day and age. I think what the coach has been doing has been focusing on a lot of defence. You know, with Dean Houston.
Yeah.
He's we spoke about last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
What are you fellas expecting or hoping for this season then?
European
position wise.
So what was it last year?
Where did you finish last year? Where were you last year?
So we were 12th last season.
12.
Record points with 48.
So you should be over the moon with that. With 12.
I'm happy.
You've got to be over the moon.
I'm happy. I'm hoping if we can just get a couple of positions higher and a few more points and just build on that. But we know football's not entirely, doesn't work that way, you know.
Well, let's hope that Bournemouth fans, if you don't make, say, top 10, let's hope Bournemouth fans don't put pressure on the manager and he ends up departing. Because do you remember what happened to Charlton years ago under Alan Kirbishley? Charlton fans weren't happy about the fact that they'd finished, I can't remember, something like 10th, let's say. I can't remember. Charlton fans were fuming that...
In the Premier League?
Yeah, going back a few years. I forget how many years ago. And they put pressure on Kirbishley. Kirbishley ended up leaving, despite taking Charlton to let's say
Great
9th
night.
or 10th. I can't remember where they finished. And look what happened to Charlton and where they are now.
One.
So I would
Leicester.
imagine if I was a Bournemouth fan, I'd be over the moon. You've got to build and you've got to have ambition, like winning a cup maybe, or
got
getting
to
a
have
European place.
You've got to have the support of the boardroom, because you think what football is now. It's like, right, are they performing? They've had a dip in performance. Get rid of him. We'll get someone else in. So you just hope they've got the support.
I think traditionally, in football in England has been rather patient with managers, and I'm talking about 80s and 90s, because when Alex Ferguson went from Aberdeen to Manchester United, it took him about 3 years to win a trophy. That FA Cup against Crystal Palace in 1990, 3-3, in that Ian Wright race, that was an amazing.
Well, allegedly, the game that saved his job, allegedly, sadly for me, was when Forest played Man United in the third round of that same comp.
Right.
And it was a horrible winter's day, muddy pitch, and Ferguson was under pressure. They were saying if Forest had won that game, third round of the cup, that Ferguson would have got the push. But Mark Robbins snatched a goal, sadly for me, and Man U won 1-0, saved Ferguson's job, and look what happened from there.
Yeah. Because I remember the days of Ron Atkinson before that,
Big Ron.
Big Ron.
Yeah.
Love Big Ron. And he's still alive, isn't he?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything to the contrary.
But it's just a shame what happened with his career. What he did, without going into too much. You know what I mean?
No idea. I just remember, because when I was living in Spain as a kid, the kids in Spain would try and say, well, which side are you on? Are you in Barcelona's side or on Manchester United's side? And this is a 84 game, which Manchester United won. And so I used to say, just to try and get out of it, I said, I'm on the side of a referee, just to try and be neutral and stuff like that. But then Big Ron speaks after the game, after beating Barcelona, and he says, oh, I'm going home for a nice cup of tea. And then the following day in school, they say, oh, what did he say? What did he say? Because there was no translator, right? And this is the 80s. They didn't have the luxury of anything like that. So I always remember Big Ron in Man U and stuff like that. But
do you know what? That's probably the most British thing you can say. I actually Thursday I was away with work, and I thought, right, went to the shop, and I got digestives with chocolate on, and I've cut down on all of that, and I just went, yep, cup of
big
tea.
British weakness.
I have to go and get proper milk, because the milk they give you in hotels is
little tiny.
it's not that good. So I go to the bar. They go, there's a shop round the corner, and it was a proper carton where you just fold the wings out, pull it out, pour it in.
I actually thought that impersonation sounded more like Harry Redknapp, to be honest, than Big Ron. But anyway,
We'll get him on the show soon.
Harry, we'll ask him about his bank accounts.
What, Big Ron?
No, Harry had bank accounts. He had bank accounts with his dog's name, didn't he?
That's a lucky dog, isn't it?
He was good. Hey, he had a tax file number and everything.
Well, there's an endless supply of doggy bags,
Hey, if you can get away with it.
Oh man. It's good old Harry. I met him a couple of times.
I have.
I was working for Frizzell, and we used to get the spare tickets for the executive boxes for the Tuesday night rainy games, that no one else wanted, against Stockport County and stuff like that. And Harry was at West Ham at the time. He was second manager to Billy Bonds.
Wow.
And so the corridor behind the executive box was quite narrow, so I was trying to squeeze past him. But I shook his hand and said, "Oh, I'm doing a great job at West Ham." I had no idea if he was or wasn't, but I thought it was just an excuse to shake his hand. And
Harry, if you're watching, he did. He knew.
This was in the day before selfies, then presumably.
Oh yeah.
Before, yeah. There were no smartphones then. This is 1996, maybe.
My uncle knows Harry Red. Not to literally knock on his door, go, all right, Azza, let's have a drink. But literally, they know each other, because my uncle does cabaret.
Right.
And I'll tell you another story, not now, but later. But one of my family's claim to fame is with that uncle that did cabarets.
Come on.
He got Jim Bowen in.
The name
is what you could have won.
Yeah, right. And my family's claim to fame is my other uncle slapped Jim Bowen.
Right, now, talking about claim to fame, what's the whole Batman thing?
Oh, okay. Bless him. My dad, no longer with us, unfortunately. My other claim to fame is my dad is Batman.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
Okay, so do you remember the big breakfast?
Yeah.
They came to my house. Bournemouth Carnival Band and Big Breakfast came to my house. You can look it up on YouTube.
What?
Literally, Bournemouth Carnival Band and Big Breakfast. Put that into YouTube, and it will come up.
So your dad opened the door in a Batman costume. Is that right?
That was it. 8 o'clock in the morning, almost like no, he didn't look. Oh, the show. That's amazing. Your face was like, yeah, you know, he always did that.
I'm just trying to picture in my head why anybody would be wearing a Batman outfit at 8 o'clock in the morning, but I guess these things happen.
He used to wake me up and go, Robin, come on, we got an assignment. No, okay, there was Bournemouth Carnival Band used to dress up in superhero outfits. All right, so that morning, let's put it this way, it would have been a toss-up normally between Batman or Spider-Man, right? So luckily it was Batman, right?
Tough decision.
Batman.
And they were, I can't say exactly what everyone said, but the producers went around all the streets knocking on doors. Do you want to be on the Big Breakfast?
Your old man was up for it.
Yeah, well, the polite word was "op it," but I'm not going to tell you what everyone actually said. And it was a common theme, right? So my dad was sat on his Mark IV Sierra, right, blue, and of course they come running up to him. Do you want to be in the Big Breakfast? And he was like, "Yeah, why not?" Like that. They said, "Act surprised when we come through the door." No, it's a Big Breakfast. Come on, no, sorry.
Come on. You got 20 seconds left. Come on.
Right, knock on the door. Big breakfast. You open the door, act surprised. Oh, come on in. And literally, Bournemouth Carnival Band flooded in our front room, and then they had to play in front of my old secondary school, Oakmead, and they came on stage.
Dressed. We'll look that one up. I promise. We'll look that one.
Because he mentioned this in the first episode, and I thought, oh, what's he on about now? His dad, Batman. You know, come on, you're taking Mickey. So, I wanted to bring that up again because I wasn't going to let him get away with it and not tell the story.
And you can actually see my legs as you
come through
the door, right? I couldn't get in the camera. As the camera comes through, you just see me on the top of the land. You see these two. You got to look up because you're not looking, and you see these two legs. And then when we're in the school, I'm right at the back. I'm in an Arsenal pair of shorts, Arsenal top, blue.
There's a story there, surely. An Arsenal shirt and now a switch to Bournemouth.
Yeah, no, well, there's no real switching. It's just literally I've become a fan.
It's a typical story of if you didn't have a Premier League team and you lived in a town where...
And of course, Bournemouth back then weren't anywhere near as successful.
No way. Our dream, I remember, the dream was to get back to the Championship. That was the previous heights that we had achieved under Harry Redknapp in 87 through to 90. And obviously after the relegation in May 1990 against Leeds, where Leeds went up to the old First Division, we went down to the old Third Division. And it was nothing other than the Championship. Whoever said that the Bournemouth would be in the Premier League would have been referred to a psychologist.
One of my earliest games as a kid was actually a Bournemouth game.
Was it?
Because as a kid, my first game was Forest game. Went to a few Forest games. Then I had a friend who was a Sheffield United fan. At the time, this was early 80s, they were in what was then Division 4. And he said, "Oh, do you want to come with me? My mum will take us. It's Sheffield United versus Bournemouth." At the weekend, Division 4, the old Division 4. So I felt obliged to go because he'd come with me to a Forest game.
Yeah.
And at the time, we were half decent. So I thought I'll go along for the novelty of witnessing a Division 4 contest. And of course, it ended up being a shockingly boring 0-0 draw.
I first met you in the 0-0 Forest versus
was it 0-0?
It was 0-0
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That was it, wasn't it? Was that in Cheers downstairs?
That was Cheers downstairs. They put us all in this tiny little separate room to keep us out of trouble. And I was the only Bournemouth fan, because I think it was a 12 midnight.
That's
wasn't
right.
it?
That's right.
Yeah, and that's my first time. So I had a great time anyway.
How long was the drive down?
From where? Sorry.
Well, where were you living, actually? So,
No, at the time I was living in Sheffield, and so my friend. So it was a home game. It was at Bramall Lane.
oh, okay. I thought you had to travel down.
No, my friend being a Sheffield United supporter, so Bramall Lane and a 0-0 draw. I don't remember much about it at the time, other than secretly hoping that Bournemouth won. I've no particular love for Sheffield United.
Are you more of a Wednesday person?
No, just my.
'Cause I know you're born in Sheffield.
I copied from my dad, who was a Forest supporter. Long story,
Right.
but growing up at school, most people at school were Sheffield Wednesday supporters, with a few Sheffield United supporters, and only because as a kid and then as a teenager, I used to get it in the neck all the time from both
sets
of supporters. So they just kind of, how it was. They rubbed me up the wrong way. So I thought, I just hope they get smashed. I just hope they lose. And then by the time you get to, 17, 18, 19, you're going into the pubs, you're still getting the grief from Sheffield United supporters. So really, the team I want to see lose the most is Derby County.
Yes.
But very close behind would be both Sheffield clubs. And we still have banter about that too to this day.
Yeah.
These days, I can look down of them, turn my nose up. As we're Billy Big Boots Premier League team these days, looking down into the depths of the Championship, and Derby, Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United fills me with a lot of pleasure, I have to say.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I remember the Sheffield United team of Dave Bassett. He was a character.
Yeah.
Dave Bassett. And
He managed us briefly as well,
Sorry?
Dave Bassett. He successfully managed Forest for a while as well.
Okay. Was that after Sheffield United?
Oh, yeah, afterwards. I mean, he was very successful with Sheffield United, doing what he did best.
Yep.
Very aggressive, long ball team for Sheffield United, but that got results for them.
Yep.
Then he came to Forest, late 90s, around about 97, 98, something like that,
Yep.
and got us promoted back to the Premier League very successfully, won the league. But then you might remember that's when Pierre van Hooijdonk went on strike. Does that ring any bells?
Yeah.
We got promoted under Bassett. He played a better brand of football with us, to be honest, than he did with Sheffield United. Maybe because he had better players. But then we sold a couple of our better players at the time. Colin Cooper, you might remember him, good centre-half. Kevin Campbell.
Yes.
We sold them.
Kevin, yeah.
And that annoyed Pierre van Hooijdonk, bless him. Very, very skillful player. And he went on strike. This was pre-season 98 to 99. He went on strike, and that was it.
I've got a question.
Sites, we got relegated.
I've got a question. You remember the fantasy football Skinner?
Baddiel and Skinner?
Yeah. They picked on a Forest player called Jason Lee.
Jason Lee. It was funny. It was hilarious.
It was funny, but I don't think he thought it was funny, did he?
Oh, no.
He's got a ball.
No,
An apple on his head. He's got a pie.
These days, they'd never try that, being politically correct these days. But I just thought it was funny. I just thought, in all honesty, I honestly thought Jason Lee should have had a bit of a giggle at that and taken it for what it was.
Yeah.
Just a laugh, no harm meant. It was just funny. I was in tears watching some of those Jason Lee sketches.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
Because they didn't just mention it once or twice. They
did a few.
Yeah.
They did a few. I know Baddiel has said since in more recent times that he regrets that and he'd never do that these days. I just thought it was funny. Honestly, it was just funny.
Time, wasn't it? Different time.
Yeah, a different time, but it was just funny. I don't think they were picking on him maliciously.
Malicious, no.
And it was certainly nothing to do with race, anything like that. It's just that they thought at the time it wasn't a particularly clinical striker, and they were right.
I thought
And
they were hairdressers.
He did miss. He missed a lot of chances, but to his credit, he really gave it everything. As a player, he was in the same squad as Stan Collymore, who was one of the best players I've ever seen at Forest. And he would fill in if Collymore was injured or suspended. And he didn't have the same skill set as Collymore, not in a million years. But boy, did he put in 100%. And he did get a few goals.
One.
Yeah, fair play to him. Yeah, fair play. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Jason.
Well, if you remember, like coming on the same subject as Fantasy League football, they had a section, what I remember, where they showed every time Pele mucks up. Because they said he was good for the time, he was brilliant for the time, but then when it got to actually be, it's like snooker. If you look at the snooker back in the day, like the 70s, snooker was horrible. They were missing all the time compared to now, and like with football now, it's like with every sport.
Jason Hendry, who's a Scottish. Was it Jason Hendry?
Stephen Hendry.
Stephen Hendry. Sorry, yeah. I didn't think he'd ever stop winning. He was just actually on the topic of fantasy football league and tipping and stuff like that. I just wanted to give a bit of an advertisement for Cheers Bar that are running in the annual English Premier League tipping competition. The deadline closes this Wednesday, 14th of August. It costs $25, and basically every week there's whoever wins the weekly tipping gets $15 on the tab on the bar. So I mean, there you go, you double your money straight away. And so we're just putting a graphic on here with their details. If you've already entered this last season, or you just send a screenshot of your $25 payment to Vanessa. If not, then you send an email to squiremaguire2003@yahoo.ie.
We'll stick that in below.
Yep, below. And and get signed up. So cheers.
There's Cheers Bar near Town Hall Station if you've never been, and this is probably the go-to pub in Sydney, I'd say, for football, because it's open throughout the night.
24 hours a day.
Yeah, except for that short period of time, 3 or 4 years ago. Remember, there used to be that 1 o'clock curfew and stuff, but that's the thing of the past now. So
I remember coming here, funny story, for the just before lockdown, the England-Scotland game in Euro 21, which was another shocking 0-0 draw. And it was something like a 5 a.m. kickoff. So my friends and I thought, England-Scotland, this is going to be big. You're going to have not only every England fan in Sydney coming in, but also the Scots, fair play. You know, they support in big numbers as well.
Yeah.
So we thought, how do we do this? Shall we just arrive at Cheers Bar about 4 in the morning and risk not being allowed in, because that's happened to me in previous years? Or do we go in early just to claim a seat and a space? So we went in something like 10, 11 p.m. the night before to make sure we were in. So the
don't laugh. We might be doing that this weekend.
This is what experience told us, having been refused entry a few times to big games, 5 a.m. games. We thought England, Scotland, this is big. So back in the day, as you said, round about 1 a.m. I think it was, they had something like an hour or 2 hours where the bar was still open, but you weren't allowed to go to the bar and order an alcoholic drink. So we thought we'd be smart and go to the bar about 1 minute to 1 a.m. and order a bottle of wine each. And that kept us... So we all got ourselves a bottle of wine. Sure, it kept us going, but by 5 a.m., somebody who will remain nameless, one of my friends, was pretty much falling asleep at the table, ready for the 5 a.m. kickoff. But we did get through by drinking the bottle of wine. But it was hard going. That's stamina. That is stamina for you. Starting at 10, 11 p.m. an England-Scotland game. Left the pub, about 7 a.m. So, my wife was very understanding.
The things we do as football fans.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, over here, anyway. You don't have to do that in Europe, but over here, you do.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, that was good. I like that, because that's the sort of thing I've done similar in an England game. I think it was Euro. What was it? The World Cup 98.
Euro 96.
96. So it was the World Cup in 98, right?
Yes. France.
Can't remember what game it was, but I bought. It was the bar's normally 3 deep, 4 deep, right? So my mate's going, buy 4 drinks, right? Buy 5 drinks, 6 drinks, whatever. Buy a huge number, bring it to us. Bring a tray over the, balancing act. Sorry, mate, balancing act. Then with that, someone scored.
Oh no!
They went everywhere.
Oh, so they
An expensive.
They went everywhere. There was beer on the ceiling. There was beer dripping off my nose. Yeah.
That was the England Panama game for the World Cup 2018. I was up at the top, and England scored 6 times, and 6 times every showers. But I was at the top.
It's just a waste of beer. I think I'm too old for that now. I can understand 18, 19-year-olds doing that. I'm too old for that. I don't want to get soaked in beer when they score. Oh, I'd rather be on the upper floor. But
that's how old I was, and I didn't want to get soaked in beer. There was one more thing with that story. Someone at the front was just throwing beer around. Right, so I've just lost
that's
a
nice.
copious amount of pints, and my mate's looking at me as if it was my fault because everyone's arms just. So with this bloke throwing beer around that was in front of me, someone got hit with beer at the back of their head. So he turns round, throws his pint. That bloke who's throwing beer around just went like this, and he went.
And that was the story of when the police arrested the whole.
I'm hoping that was a plastic glass, right?
Oh, no,
a plastic.
He just threw the drink. He never threw the glass. It was. I can't remember. I cannot remember. It would have probably. I doubt it'd have been glass. I'll be shocked. Back in the day.
Hey.
But yeah.
Good.
Right.
Yes, I wanted to. This is a bit of a deviation, but I was watching. Actually, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't watching live. But I was been watching the Hibs first game of the season against St Mirren.
Okay.
They travelled to St Mirren. They have been struggling to sign a few players. They needed reinforcements in the midfield, and I'm talking about Hibs because it's part of the Bill Foley's group of football clubs, Hibernian FC or the Hibees, and they lost 3-0 to St Mirren. Tough because you've got to play Celtic next. But since that 3-0 loss, they've signed a couple of players. One from Northampton Town, one from Aberdeen, and one. I think they're trying to get one a good solid midfielder from Dundee, but that one's stalling a bit at the moment. But it's one of those things, isn't it? Like it's a Scottish Premier League. You've got the 2 big teams, like we discussed last week.
Yeah.
But then, all the other teams are competing. It's going to be a tough, long season for them. And one other thing I wanted to mention was I noticed on the feed last night, Auckland FC, they've signed Alex Paulson. Now, who's Alex Paulson? Alex Paulson was the goalkeeper of the Wellington Phoenix last season. His claim to fame, I think he stopped about 5 penalties in a cup game against Melbourne or South Melbourne or something like that in the 2023. Bournemouth signed him, but because Bournemouth and Auckland sister clubs, he's gone out to.
Why is Auckland a sister?
Because Bill Foley bought the franchise for another A-League team, an A-League team. So that was a bit of a surprise because Bournemouth signed the goalkeeper about a month ago.
Yeah.
And he's heading straight back here.
Wow.
Well, I guess our sister club is Olympiacos then. You may know we're owned by the large Greek chap.
Yep.
We actually played them a couple of days ago in a pre-season friendly. Athens won 4-3.
We won
4-3. Olympiacos won what's the name of the latest Euro Cup? They changed the name of it, didn't they? It used to be the UEFA Cup, I think. Anyway,
Europa League
last season.
The other one, the Conference League.
One of those, anyway. So Olympiacos knocked out Villa, I think, semi-final last season.
Yes.
Went on to beat. Who did they beat in the final? Can't remember. So anyway, a decent outfit, but they must be our sister club.
So, is there any transfer players?
We sometimes buy players and loan them to Olympiacos, and vice versa. It's happened a few times.
And that's what Hibs is waiting for. Hibs is waiting for because Hibs start their season. They started last weekend. They are waiting for Bournemouth to kind of finish. A lot of the fans are thinking, okay, so when are we going to get a Bournemouth player or something like that to come and play up? Because last year we had Emiliano Marcondes. Yeah. He got up to Hibs, and so I think there's a bit of expectation now with Dom going. It's going to delay any loans to Hibs and stuff like that. But anyway, we'll watch this space.
Can I ask a question? So the signing, what
Which
you
one?
just mentioned,
Alex Paulson.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did he fly over to the UK to sign and then
Yeah.
have to fly back?
An expensive document, isn't it?
As long as he's not paying for the flight.
Oh, he won't pay.
He won't.
You imagine if they did? That'd be terrible. Oh no, you got to get the flight over.
Well, he had to say goodbye to his mum and dad, you know, and his.
I'm leaving. Then
Oh, I'm
24
back
hours
again.
later. Well, actually, it won't be that. It takes 24 hours to get over. But you think, go over, see the club, and then go right. No offense, go back home. Why?
That's the problem with having sister clubs halfway around the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they put a ban on that because of Man U did that a few years back. Can't remember what team it was, but no, obviously not.
Yeah.
Obviously not, because it's happened. Right. Let's talk about the mighty Forest.
Do we have to?
Yes. This is going back.
What do you
a few
wanna know?
years. Right. Okay. Clough and Taylor. Right.
If only.
I know.
If only we could have them again.
Oh.
If only.
Buying players in. What was their tactics? What was the talk of the town?
Oh, depends on the player. There's various stories. I've read a few autobiographies, biographies, unusual tactics like I think it was Archie Gemmell, a Scottish player of the time. Cloughy allegedly slept on his sofa in his house overnight and wouldn't leave until he'd agreed to sign. So, you know, stories like that. Imagine that happening these days. And then Peter Taylor.
Got the police around his door, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Peter Taylor would be more of a detective type.
Yeah.
Check up on them, spy on them, tail them, just to see if they had a gambling problem or a womanizing problem or a booze problem, whatever it would be. So he'd do the behind-the-scenes detective work to then decide whether or not he could recommend they made the signing. So some amazing stories from back in the day, but yeah, probably belongs in another time, doesn't it? Be a lot more fun.
Oh.
Transfer still took place along those lines these days, but yeah, sadly those times are long gone.
I watch. Well, I go over them every so often. TalkSport, and there's the story of what we spoke about earlier with Dean Saunders, where he turned up.
He can tell a story, by the way. Dean Saunders on TalkSport is so good at telling a story. Apparently, he's really good on stage, but I haven't seen him.
Who else? There was.
This is before he went to Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, because he turned up. He tried. He was, bless him. He was drunk. And he. What did he go around his house? I think he brought Dean Saunders. That's it. He asked Dean Saunders to come round his house.
Just make it up. Just make it up.
And he said about the flowers. He said, does your wife or your mother-in-law like flowers? And he goes, yeah, he does, sir. He does, you know, Mr. Clough does like that. Anyway, long story short, goes out. He called Dean's agent fat. He was calling him fat. You got to watch it. Got to watch the story. It is amazing. Anyway, he turns up. Long story short, in Dean Saunders' front room with a load of flowers for his mother-in-law.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he'd do very unpredictable things like that. Always trying to get on the right side of the wives. Usually, didn't mind abusing his own players, you know, verbally. But yeah, always be nice to the wife. There's a lesson.
Stuart Pearce. There's a story of Stuart Pearce where, because Pearce, he was an electrician by trade, because everyone had trades back in the day, and he basically told him, "You've got to fix these irons," because there was an advert in the local paper for a spark, and it was him and his brother, I think, were both sparks. And anyway, cutting a very long story short, if you don't repair these are Mrs. Clough's, you don't repair these irons, you're not playing. So he did.
And Stuart Pearce actually used to advertise in the Forest Match programme.
That was it.
When he first joined Forest, this would be, I think it was 85.
It's the
He'd
programme.
obviously made it as a professional because he was signed from Coventry. But he wasn't sure that he was going to make it big time, so he wanted something to fall back on. So he continued to do little jobs here and there as a sparky, and Clough allowed him to advertise in the programme in his first season. Just
Brilliant.
pick up a few jobs just in case it didn't work out. And of course, he goes on to win trophies for Forest, becomes England captain. Now he's, you know, quite a successful pundit on the radio. But again, hilarious story. Imagine that happening these days.
That's old school.
Yeah.
You've got to remember, because Cloughy, because he was a great player, and he broke his leg. I remember.
Yeah, short.
Broke his leg, and
Long-term injury. Yeah, that was it. Career ending, wasn't it?
luckily he went into management.
At the Unmentionables.
The unmentionables. Yeah.
Who was it? It was actually
Started. No, he managed Derby,
yeah.
successfully. Unfortunately for us,
71.
He started off.
Was it 71?
72, I think he
72,
was. He won the title with Derby, but prior to that, he was at Hartlepool, small time Hartlepool.
Yeah.
And he basically fell out with the owners at Derby. Ended up leaving, got back into management at Brighton. Only a relatively short stay. Went to Leeds. You might remember he went to
the
Leeds.
Damned United.
Damned United. I was about to say that. Watch that film. If you've never seen that film, watch it. Amazing story.
Yes.
And then I think as part of the fallout from that, Forest were able to get him. So he came to Forest and our fortunes transformed. But all we'd done prior to Cloughy was a couple of FA Cups. That was it. And one second place finish in what is now the Premier League. That was it. But then Cloughy came in, 2 European Cups, 4 League Cups, Charity Shield, League title, of course, European Super Cup. Our fortunes changed tremendously.
Amazing manager. Yeah.
A lot of people say they wish that Cloughy had got the England job, but because he wasn't a yes man and much of a diplomat.
That's probably the same as Harry Redknapp. That's why he didn't get the England job. And I'm not sure if he applied or not, but after getting the push from Tottenham, a lot of people fancied him. But again, I just don't think it was the mob at Lancaster Gates choosing. You know what I mean?
They all seem to want a diplomat, don't they?
Yeah.
Somebody who's good at speaking to the press. Southgate was excellent at that.
Yeah.
He'd tick the boxes for the FA. Cloughy, though, would have just done his own thing, and the FA just never.
Imagine that.
So they employed the
He wasn't that good on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? He was. You never see likes of him again. I'll be shocked if you do. The last one was Mourinho.
Maybe some in another country somewhere, but yeah.
I think the nearest you get to Cloughy these days is somebody like Jose Mourinho. Yeah. He's a bit grumpier, I'd say, Mourinho, a little bit grumpier, but there are similarities there.
Yeah, totally.
When Mourinho was at his best, he might be beyond his best now, but yeah, lots of similarities there.
But that's why Cloughy used to wear the green shirt, wasn't it? Do you know why? Do you know why he used to wear the green shirt?
Why he used to wear the green shirt?
I can tell.
Go on, spill the beans.
Because on the back of the green shirt was the goalkeeper, number 1. And he said, there's only one number 1 round here. That's me.
And he used to go out and play squash in it as well, in his famous green shirt, with Gary Birtles. Do you remember Gary Birtles? Ex-England striker. Went to Man United for a while.
Recognise the name.
Still around. Met him a couple of years ago in Nottingham. Great bloke. But Cloughy dragged him off after training sometimes to go and play squash. As you do. Pre-match warm-up, go, Monday morning training, and then go and have a game of squash. And he'd go off in the famous green shirt. You can buy those in the club shop, actually.
Can you?
Yeah, you can buy a
that's
green.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Because he actually said he never had any problems with Roy Keane.
Roy Keane loves him. I skimmed through Roy Keane's autobiography, and he said that Clough's still the best manager he ever worked for, which might cause some controversy in Manchester.
Yeah.
But he absolutely loved Clough. One day, another Clough story, Keane had a bad game, I think, against somebody. And Clough, for some reason, went up to Keane and just punched him in the stomach. And Keane just took it. Imagine that happening these days. Clough was, let's be honest, he was a bit of an oddball, eccentric character. Imagine any player these days taking that. But Clough just went up to him and punched him in the stomach in the changing room after the game, I believe. I can't remember which game. But Roy Keane being Roy Keane, who was an ex-boxer, just took it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, Clough, what game was it where they all stormed the pitch? Come on.
That was. Oh, do you mean where? Oh, hang on. Do you mean where? Oh, there's a couple of occasions.
Oh, what's that? Okay,
There's one you're probably thinking of when he slapped a few
That's it.
people.
Yep.
Was Forest versus QPR League Cup. Forest won 5-2. I can't remember the exact year, but it was something like 88-ish, 88, 89, something like that. And pitch invasion at the end. I think it was maybe quarter-final of the League Cup. And yeah, he wasn't best pleased. Came on, slapping a few people around, dragging some people off. And then after the mayhem had ended, because Clough was almost treated and revered like a god in Nottingham because of what he'd done. And he somehow got the player, the supporters from Clit to come and apologise to him for daring to go onto his field live on local television, the following week. They were coming up to him, apologising, Mr. Clough, for daring to go on his field.
Yes.
And, he accepted the apology. Maybe probably gave him a kiss on the cheek.
No, he gave them both a kiss on the cheek. It was amazing. It's great.
Incredible. But there was another occasion about 10, 15 years before that when a pitch invader went on the field at Forest, probably 82, 83, 84, something like that, dressed as a clown. So this guy ran on the field, Forest versus Watford. I think this is probably on YouTube. Forest versus Watford, I think. This guy ran on the field dressed as a clown. Clough just stormed on, grabbed the guy, and just dragged him off. I think he grabbed him by his the scruff of his neck, and just very physically dragged him off the field. And everybody applauded. Everybody loved it.
Amazing.
That's probably out there on YouTube somewhere.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah. You won't get the likes of him. Like I say, you wouldn't, because now you think if you look at someone badly, we'll take football for example. If you shout at the referee in an obscene way, you get red carded. So you couldn't do that. Yeah.
But it's an entertainment business, supposedly, and that's very entertaining.
Yes.
Sadly, though, I think the cynic in me says these days it's not an entertainment. It's just about money, making money. To the owners, anyway, to club owners and to TV company directors, money.
Talking of money, did we mention about kit prices? Oh no, we've done.
I believe we mentioned that.
Yeah, no, we did before the podcast. Again, 490 quid for 6 shirts.
Yes.
Yeah, but
okay.
Yeah, it's the balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I remember when Manchester United released 3, I think maybe 4. Actually, no,
I think it was 3, mate.
They had that yellow and green one, that half
yes.
as well. But I'm not sure if that was in the same season as the grey and the blue. Sort of blurred.
Please,
a bit
comments.
blurred for me. Yeah, comments, mate. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Make any predictions for this season then?
That was
for respective clubs.
Gonna
or
be
you
the
coming
next
on to
thing.
that? Okay.
That was going to be the next thing, wasn't it?
I'm going to say top 10. I'll say 10th, maybe 9th. I'd like to be, because we were 9th in the second season, where we scored that 46 points, which was a record until last season. I'd say 10th or 9th.
I'll go with somewhere like that. I will. Hopefully we get a striker in time to join up front.
I'm sure they've got options on the table,
Yeah.
but they're never not going to be prepared.
Yeah, impressive aims. I'd love to say 9th or 10th for us, but I think for Forest, I'd be happy with, I'm going to go 14th. I'm going to hope we can make 14th. A bit of an improvement this season, I hope. I'll snap your hands off for 14th. And a good cup run. Who knows?
Yeah.
I would say 14th, but the last few weeks, safe.
14th and a good cup run as long as somebody else knocks out Man City first.
What?
And then can we maybe make it to Wembley? You got to aim big.
Yeah.
A cup final appearance would be good, and 14th. I await to be pleasantly surprised.
Right. So, next thing. What do you reckon the Bournemouth? Yeah, I saw that as well. Bournemouth Forest. Excuse me. Hold on. Excuse me. Bournemouth Forest result. What do you reckon?
Next Saturday. Okay. Yep. I'm going to go, obviously I'm biased. I'm going to go Forest 2, Bournemouth 1.
Ooh, controversial.
Bring a bit of bias into there. It's about time we beat you at our place.
Okay.
Because you've done us at our place the last 2 seasons in a row. I'm going to say down to shopping defending on our part. So you've beaten us 3-2, two seasons in a row at our place. So I think first game of the season, a bit of home atmosphere. 2-1 win for us. I'm going.
I would have said the other way around for me.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah. Tight game. Entertaining. Let's keep both sets of fans.
And if any people listening are in the Sydney area, get yourselves down to Cheers Bar and watch the game with us next week.
Yep. Totally.
12 o'clock is the kickoff. But we have a few teams playing at the same time, plus Liverpool at 9:30. So we'll have to work out. Maybe get Matt in there early. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, some of us, the Forest boys, are meeting in another bar previously, earlier on, just for a get-together, a few drinks. Then we're aiming to head in here 10-ish. But I didn't realise Liverpool were playing in the early game. So, 10-ish, 10:30.
Well, that then, I've just thought, when you just said Liverpool, you've said Liverpool about 3 times, I think, during this podcast, right? Vanessa's a Liverpool fan.
Oh, yes.
I think.
And Celtic.
Yeah. Yep. So I think we've got more. I think we've got more chance of both teams winning the Premier League together. Do you know what I mean? So
but they'll have finished though. By the time Forest Bournemouth kicks off, Liverpool have not. They've finished, so we should be good to go.
Especially, if they lose, then they'll probably vacate the premise even earlier. But we never know. First game of the season is always touch and go, isn't it? You just never know. Shaking off that rust in the friendlies.
Hopes you think even your team could win a cup, get into the top 10, get into Europe, and then after a month, reality hits and we all start whinging about the team, the manager, whatever it is.
Yeah, around about November time, we're sort of like, oh.
My uncle was a Coventry supporter, and every year he used to put money on them winning the top league, whatever they were in, every year, right? And most times he
lost the cash.
He did, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good little chat. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Awesome. Yep, thank you.
Don't forget, everyone, like, subscribe, do the normal thing that everyone badgers everyone about. Comment, please. If we've got anything wrong, normally it's me, right? Put it down there. Put it down there in the comments. And, we want to see you. I want to hear from you. Oh, one final thing. I got hold of Ben Jones.
Ben Jones. Okay.
Yep. No, he loved it.
Right, what was his reaction?
It was only via text, and it was like, it's not going to come across as funny, but he's like, no, hilarious. Yeah, okay. Love it. Can't wait to watch it.
I was expecting some legal action or something.
No, so
see, if you want to know what we're talking about, see the previous podcast.
Yes.
Thing. Glenn, I just wanted to ask you, because you've written a book, haven't you? You have. Tell us about that. Quickly.
That was a few years ago.
Right.
Probably 10 years ago now, and it was called Following England Abroad. I'm a Forest supporter, but also a big England fan as well. And you can find that on Amazon. And that's basically a story of, I guess, growing of age, or coming of age is a better phrase, isn't it? From being a young chap going overseas with friends, going to Bulgaria, France, Portugal, Ukraine, you name it, and just more of a fan story, what it's like to go overseas, have a laugh with friends, enjoy the carnival of the World Cup or the Euros, the travelling side of it. Not so much about the actual football games we went to see, because you can obviously watch those on a screen. But if you fancy that, if you fancy reading that, Following England Abroad by me, my name is Glenn Beckett. Look it up on Amazon. And it's a bargain at twice the price.
Well, look, we'll put links down. Can you send us it? Send us the link and we'll stick it underneath.
Yeah, we'll put the Forest Group Facebook page and also the book. Yep.
Amazing. Wow. Yeah, I think that's good going, wasn't it? Thank you for turning up.
Thank you. Enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Fantastic work.
Cheers.
So, looking forward to seeing everyone down at Cheers Bar this Saturday. Coming, obviously it's what today is, but so. Okay, brilliant. Right, thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers all. Cheers.
See ya.
Cheers.
Well done, lads. Well done. Good baseballs.
I reckon that went for how long?
Go on, I know exactly how long that went on for.
Is that a long one? Was that a long one?
Yeah, longest we've done. That didn't seem, that just went.
It's only because, when you've got 3 people as well, you just got more things that just crop up.
Yeah, but I mean, the stories as well from you. I mean, I just